Jean's not here. I could bang it as much as I want.
I'll tell her.
Oh, yes, you would, Judy, wouldn't you? Unfortunately, Councilor Anderson's got work that she couldn't get out of today, so she won't be with us. But welcome, everybody, and we have a great first meeting of the year. I hope everybody had a good holiday, all relaxed and ready to roll. It's going to be a big 2020. There's lots of neat things happening in the town, and we're here some really exciting things today in some of our delegations. So looking forward to those. I guess if I'll call the meeting to order and disclosure any peculiar interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Has anybody got any? Oh, Judy?
I do, with the third reading of bylaws 14A and 14B.
Third reading, yes, okay, yep.
And I've filled out the papers.
You already filled those out. Okay, thank you. You got that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councillor Elliott. The previous minutes of December 17, 2019 council meeting are approved. All in favor? Great. Additional items? You guys have any additional items? Anybody? Oh, that's going to be that's interesting. Wow, just a new year. Big year. We'll use them all up.
It may not be the beginning of.
You know what? That could end up happening anyways. I'll ask you again later in case. Moved by Councillor Gunston, second by Councillor Dirksen. The Town of Minto Council convenes in a committee of the whole. All in favor? Public meetings, delegations. And we're pleased. Our first delegation today is Cindy Forsyth and Kate Reed, and they're going to talk about integrated youth services. And we've had some initial meetings with the group here, but I thought it'd be nice for the council sort of to see this. This is our first blush to the council to see how we're working towards some of our mental health. And with Jess, we've been working on some of those issues that we have there. So if you please come up, late. I don't know who's all going to do the talking. All and welcome.
Thank you.
And we have the slides, and the council has had the presentation given to them. So
right. So I'm going to try not to read the slides, although public speaking is not my forte. So we'll just sort of. So we've been working with Minto Mental Health, I would say, for the last 8 months on a concept that was originally presented to the Rotary Club of Guelph. So I'm a Rotarian, and the hat I wear today is as a volunteer from the Rotary Club of Guelph. And we heard a speaker in 2018 talk to us about integrating youth services. So what's an integrated service hub look like? It's a one-stop shop for everything from soup to nuts for youth between the ages of 12 and 26. We know from research that youth struggle when they first enter puberty with mental health and growing up and figuring out what it's like to be a teenager and their identity. And then we also know at the age of 18, the way we've set things up in our society is they fall right off the mark. And we don't have services. We expect them to be adults. And we know from research that that's just not happening right now. So we know we have a crisis. I don't have to tell you, you're a forward-thinking community. The fact you have mental health is huge. But what these hubs would do is centralize services. So they would bring in a one-stop shop so that youth could get a nurse practitioner. Youth could walk in and get services from employment counseling. They could get services from peer-to-peer support. They could get housing support, and they could get mild to moderate mental health and addiction services. We would also, in these youth hubs, have a way for a soft or warm handoff if somebody was experiencing a severe mental health situation. So someone would stay with them if they had to go to emergency or if they needed to see other services. So that service is called system navigation. So I do know I used a little bit of jargon in this presentation. So that's what that means. Slide number 2 will show you that this is not a new concept. We're not reinventing the wheel. There are 40 of these across Canada, I think 41 now. 11 of them are in Ontario, and there's 11 in British Columbia. We know that the way the Ontario government is going, it's about integrating and centralizing services. And we want to be a little bit ahead of that curve when the money starts flowing, hopefully. But we're not reinventing the model. Our model is just a little bit different because we know that we're not reaching rural youth well, right? So we're not going to build a great big youth center in downtown Guelph and expect people from Minto to come to it. That's not going to work, and we know it's not going to work. What we want to do is create at the beginning 7 sites, 7 microsites that are sprinkled throughout Wellington County and the city of Guelph. And we want to network them all together so that when a youth comes in, let's say ideally there's someone from Harriston who's going to the University of Guelph or high school in Guelph. They walk into their services at the university or at their high school in Guelph, and then they want to connect when they're home in Harriston. So what we want to do is create a microsite here and microsites in Guelph so that they don't have to retell their story. So a clinical coordinator can actually look at the youth's file with permission and say, oh, you were speaking to Cindy on Tuesday. It's Saturday. I'd be happy to look up your file and let's pick up where Cindy left off. So the 7 sites include and are not limited to, it's just these are the partners that are ready. So what we did was we got low-hanging fruit, people that were ready and interested. Those are the people that we brought on board initially. So Minto Mental Health, we're looking for a location with help from Taylor and Jessica. We've got Fergus, so we're working in collaboration with Big Brothers Big Sisters Center Wellington in the old Target building. They're renovating space there. We've got, okay, let me think now. Fergus, Aaron. Oh yeah, Aaron's ready to go. Aaron, their social services, East Wellington Social Services, had already thought of the concept of a youth center. So when we talked to them last February, they said, oh, this goes perfectly. So they would be a site. CMHA Waterloo Wellington is building a new building on Woolwich Street. So they have dedicated 6,000 to 7,000 square feet for this project. The Guelph Y is involved. They want to expand their building and have 2,000 square feet dedicated for youth. We've got Shelldale, which is already operating integrated youth services, and they will be renovating their building. And the University of Guelph is involved because we all know that there's a big crisis in the University of Guelph. The next slide just tells you a little bit about the history, you know, where we came from. We brought service providers together. The results, next slide, were not surprising. I don't have to tell people what the stats are about mental health in youth in our area. Next slide just gives you an idea of what the core services would be. You know, I've talked to enough youth over the last 18 months to know that they want primary care. So how do we service all of these 7 sites 24 hours a day? We can't. We know that. We have to work together. So the idea is that a primary care nurse practitioner may be at the Guelph site on Monday afternoons, may come up to the Palmerston site on Tuesday afternoons, might be available in the Erin site on Wednesday afternoons, so that it's routine, the kids know when they can get the services and how. We also know that we can't open at 8:30 and close at 4:30. We need to be flexible. So we need to engage youth, which is what 2020 will all be about, and that's what Kate's job is. Kate's been seconded from CMHA to work on this project full time. She was the director of Child and Youth Services. And she will be setting up workshops, and we're not going to call them workshops because youth told us that they don't like that name, but for our purposes, we will be having consultations with youth because we know that the youth from Harriston and Palmerston won't want the same type of setting as a youth in Erin or a youth at the Guelph Y. They just won't. Kate and I were we visited 2 youth hubs. One was in Halliburton and one was in Chatham, Kent. The Chatham, Kent site is state-of-the-art, stainless steel refrigerators. Like it's got like a state-of-the-art television. It's very slick. The Halliburton youth went to visit the Chatham-Kent site. They didn't want that. They wanted an old church and a coffee house type of environment. So they cleared out the pews. You walk in, it's like couches. They've got a little stage. They've got pianos and guitars, things like that. A galley kitchen, and downstairs is where the professionals and where the counseling rooms would be. The next slide. This just gives you the array of services on the continuum of care. And I did not create this. This is the same model that's used across Canada. The next slide gives you the names of our partners for phase 1. Now, in my world, because I'm a dreamer, it would be awesome to have 11 sites in all of the different townships. But as again, I said, phase 1, we're just starting with the townships that are ready. The next slide gives you the potential sites. And we, Minto Mental Health, we did go and look at a site in Palmerston. What we've been told from your staff is that Palmerston's the ideal location because that's where the kids go to school. So we're also working with the school as well. So what are the next steps? The next steps are our partners need a memorandum of understanding with all partners. So we'll be going into meetings. We have 2 meetings set up in July to work out those memorandums of understanding. We need to launch a fundraising campaign as a collective. We've hired a public relations firm to help us with our messaging, and we're starting that fundraising campaign now. Starting to put together a campaign cabinet and work out the details. I should tell you that people are already approaching me about giving. So I'm a fundraiser by trade. It doesn't really work that way. You've got to plan and then be more aggressive. But people are already asking we want proposals. And then we have our youth, family, and service provider engagements. So what we're asking for today from council is if you could endorse Minto Mental Health as a partner and enable them to participate in the memorandum of understanding so that we can get one of these up and running as fast as possible in your area.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thanks, Cindy. And maybe I'm sure there might be some questions.
Good presentation.
Yeah.
It's great.
I've had the privilege of, we've had sort of a sit down at the high school, and we had the principal there, and we had some community people there. We had, I think the Rotary Club was there.
Yeah.
From Clifford. Very passionate people, and I know our mental health people, Jess and Taylor, are excited about this. This is something we had talked about. Again, I think you put the package together nicely, and the fact that it is across the county and that we'll be able to partner. So I understand where we're at this point in time. So I felt it was important that the council, I had that initial contact because we were just seeing if there was it would work. So I'm just turning it over to the council today to say, as far as a member of understanding, it's just moving forward with the project. We'll still have to do some discussions. I know when you talked about fundraising, we've had people step up to the plate already and said to me and to you that they're willing to bring money into this, some of our local groups.
It's because
already, so.
They say 1 in 5 is affected by mental health. I think the stats are much higher.
And we know that from up here we have the issue, and so is it everybody fair? Do we need a resolution?
I think we would need a motion. That the council of the town of Minto endorse Minto Mental Health as a partner, and further that the Minto Mental Health are unable to help to sign the memorandum of understanding.
Somebody move that. Judy, Deputy Mayor Turton, all in favor? Great. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
I know you have to get back to a meeting in Guelph, and thanks for driving all the way up. And I'm glad it was a nice day.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Well, it's all we're going to have from now on. And
Exactly.
in fact, I don't think there's going to be any more snow. Touch wood.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care. And thanks, Jess. I know you'd love to be with the kids, but you came and sat in with us for us.
No problem.
Thank you. And next up, I'm able to introduce David Leonce, and David's the president and the CEO of Ontario Power, and he's bringing us a little talk about Minto. And this is something David and I have been doing a road show, and it's sort of like the plumber. The leak gets fixed last at the where he lives, and we've been to all but one, I think, uh, municipalities that are in West Ontario. David and I have gone and done presentations. So this is your presentation from West Ontario, and we just want to keep that communication flow going. So, go ahead, David.
Thank you, Major Breach, Mayor and councillors and staff. Good afternoon. Thank you for that opportunity to talk to you about West Area. As you know, West Area, if you want West Area shareholders, it's important that we provide as much information and transparency about what we do at West Area and how we conduct ourselves. I want to first start with really our mission statement. And in 2018, we developed a strategic plan for the next 5 years. And really our mission is really to continue to power your community. And we look at 4 key things that are important to us as in the way we deliver service to you and the standard in which we'll operate. And one of it is making sure that we power your community safely, power your communities reliably, efficiently, while at the same time engaging our customers and also respecting the environment as we indicated with continuous accountability. And that's important to us because the only way we recognize that we could provide value for our customers has a vision, an exceptional value, and also great customer service and top reliability, which exceeds industry standard, is by having a standard in which we operate. And these are the standards in our mission statement. Our vision, as I indicated, is really looking at us as your community-owned utility, making sure that the value that we provide to you is exceptional. The customer service is also exceptional, but reliability is what every customer always wants. So we want to make sure that that exceeds industry standard. But we want to do that through the strength of our employees, making sure that our employees are creative and coming up with a great idea for us to deliver on this mission. And I just identified some of the core values in which we'll operate our business. The next slide basically shows our governance structure. And West Ontario basically has 9 directors. And with these 9 directors, we've got 2 committees that are very effective, the Audit and the Risk Committee, which consists of 4 directors, and also the Executive Committee, which is about 5 directors. We've got about 9 management staff, that includes myself. Really and truly, one of the things that I'm very proud of in terms of our governance structure is the diverse experience that our board of directors bring to the table in terms of ensuring that we have great governance, oversight, and risk management of the organization. And that is important to us because we recognize that we are an independent corporation, but we are accountable not only to the regulators but also our customers. And we want to make sure that, and our shareholders also. So we want to make sure that the board of directors that are providing that governance hold us accountable to the way that we manage the operation. And I think they bring that experience to the table. I've given you a breakdown of our shareholders. So we've got about 8, like I said, 9 shareholders, with Fortis Ontario being a publicly traded utility, and that really gives us a really strong stability, if you want to look at that from a large perspective. They're very experienced, they are very they're international, and they own about 10% of West Ontario. But Minto, the town of Minto also provides has about a little less than 10% of the shares, and I think, as you notice in my next slide, you'll see the value that it brings to you as a shareholder. So the municipality of Minto received over the last 10 years around $605,000 in dividend payout. And really, as you can see in the graph there, the bar graph, from 2009 to 2018, we've had a steady increase year after year. And we expect that to continue with great management and operation, and making sure that we continue to find efficiencies in our business. A few facts about West Ontario Power, and I think it's important that you know that. One of the things that I pride myself on when I became the CEO was the excellent customer satisfaction that we had. So out of about 23,000 plus customers, 92% of our customers were saying that they're satisfied with the service that we provide. That number, as you notice in my next slide, will change. So that's one of the things I pride myself over the last 2 years, from 2017 to 18. That was when we did the survey. And we continue to do the best that we can to be a customer-centric organization, and that's the focus for us. We have about 39 employees. Again, our customer count is a little more than 23,600. Our greatest assets are our substation, which is the heart of our distribution network. Without your substation, there's no power. We've got 27 substations, and we do the best that we can to modernize these. Over the last 5 years, we've had a long-term strategic direction for replacement and upgrades, and we've actually removed all the substations that we felt could have been risky to our reliability, about 7 of them right now. Our distribution lines is about 550 kilometers, and that's both overhead and underground. And we have almost 10,600 poles in our system, and that is really the core of our assets. That's the capital we depend on if we have to go to the bank, and that's one of the things that we want to make sure is robust and also kept in good condition to sustain good reliability. The next slide shows the recent customer satisfaction survey, and again, we just recently received these results just towards the end of the year, and we were pleased to see that we didn't go downwards in our customer satisfaction, but went upwards, and that is a 95% customer satisfaction score. So that is remarkable. We will celebrate that this year, and we've shared that with the board of directors and our staff, and we will continue to maintain that.
And just to point out on that, and I'm using my chairman's hat now rather than mayor's hat. The customer service satisfaction is done by a third-party company. Like it's and compared to industry standards. So it's a great tool for the board to know whether we're providing the service that we think we should. And I give the staff a lot of credit for the fact that they were already at 92%. 2 years later, they're at 95. So it's a tough when you get that high to improve. Yeah, and when you see the breakdown of all the different areas they survey, it's interesting.
Yes. Actually, the independent consultant, as George indicated, does a lot of survey for most of the utilities. So it's not done internally, and they're very transparent. And they've actually told me, Dave, I don't know what you're doing or your staff are doing to get to the 95%, but keep doing it because we don't see you getting higher than that. Really,
No, we are
still on the ceiling right now. So we're really proud of that, and I think the question for us is how do we sustain that? Our next slide is just basically just some history here for some of you that are new to the council and maybe don't know much about West Stereo. I just kind of provided some bulletins just to provide you a little history here. In 1998, the provincial government passed the Energy Competitive Act, which was Bill 35, which really saw the restructuring of the entire electricity market. And 2 years subsequent to that, when the act received its royal assent, we saw huge changes in the industry, not only from Hydro One point of view, which is a utility owned by the province, but it allowed the municipal utility commissions, the utilities owned by most of the municipalities, to come together and incorporate as a business. And we saw in 2000, most of the municipalities around this area came together on West Stereo. I was just talking to Ron, and Ron was very much knowledgeable about some of that.
Yeah, Ron, you were close to the beginning, weren't you?
Yeah, right on the beginning.
Yeah, so we saw the formation of West Stereo holding at around November 1st, 2000, since that restructuring. So we have a 20-year anniversary coming up, I guess, in November of this year, which we'll hopefully celebrate. In 2018, again, we saw some changes with West Stereo, where we amalgamated the three entities that we had into one regulated entity. So West Stereo right now is just focused on the regulated part of our business, which is just delivering power to our customers. The next slide shows just the services, the service territory we serve. We serve 15 communities in the Bruce, Gray, and Ewan, and also Wellington counties. And these are basically the areas. So from the north, you could see Southampton, and from south, Palmerston, to the east, Hanover, and to the west, Kincardine. I wouldn't dwell too much on this map here because pretty much you know the communities we serve in the municipality of Minto. It's really Palmerston, Harriston, and also Cleveland, and more to the very heavily dense locations on dense communities. The outskirts of these communities are sort of actually. This is just really a snapshot. I wanted to show you what the bill looked like many years ago, and I think the focus here is really on the largest piece of the pie. So if for a standard consumer or customer that maybe consumes about 1,000 kilowatt hours, back in 2017, the bill was about $202.51. The largest part of the bill, which is really the energy part of the bill, the commodity part, would be the part that would be a pass-through. The only part that would stay the utility would be really the distribution charges, which is the $28. So you could see here how most of the monies that we collect for electricity bill doesn't really stay the utility. It's a pass-through for them to other entities. The next slide just shows what, if I would take that portion that is only the portion that is kept by the utility, this is how we will apportion most of that amount. So the largest part again is the electricity part, which is the 57%, goes to the ISO, and the 24% stays for stereo. Then you have the HST, the delivery charges, and also the regulatory charges. So since the Fair Hydro plan, this is what the bill will look like today. So it's changed significantly from what it was pre-2017 to what it is post-2017. The next slide will show how we utilize that small percentage that stays for stereo. So if we were to take the 24% portion that stays for stereo of the pie chart, 18% of that will be operations and maintenance. And we have to, every year we do have about, we allocate around, I would say, $2.4 million just for operations and maintenance. We reinvest a lot in capital spend, and that is the largest portion of our expenditure year over year, 37%. 24% of that is administration, and as you notice, the rest is spread between billing and dividends and so forth. So the 3%, which is the red part of the pie chart, is the part that goes back to the shareholders.
Just on that chart, David, one of the things we have the twin substation in Palmerston. One of the concerns we have, and when you talk to a lot of electrical users, price is one thing, but being not losing power is the big issue. And so having that backup in Palmerston now really makes a big difference. And some of our other substations that we just did a new one in Hanover, and it allowed the industrial park to grow some more. So that's what that big yellow part is. Looking at our 10-year plan to make sure that we're prepared for the future, because and I'm learning electricity as I go along, but David talks about the fact if we all end up with electric cars in the garages, somehow that power's got to get there. And there's a lot of investment we've got to do to make sure that the grid works. I was shocked at what we could and couldn't do. So if people are going to turn to electric vehicles down the road, and that's where we're going to be, we better make sure our distribution is there. So we do pour a lot of our money back into infrastructure.
Yeah, very much so. And so that brings me to the close of my presentation today. And to your point, George, the industry is changing significantly as we see year over year. There's a huge evolution happening right now in the industry with distributed energy resources, as George indicated, electric vehicle charging, new technologies around energy efficiency, wind, solar. And that is a different dynamic that we see happening in our industry. And we as a utility have to prepare for it over the long term. And that is something we are looking at strategically over the next 5 to 10 years. What does the electricity distribution network or even the sector looks like and not only from what we see happening from consumers and other small businesses or small entrepreneurs, but also from a government policy. How do we prepare ourselves in terms of the policy changes we see coming from the government or the province of the governor of the day? So as we look at the future, we want to actively seek growth in our business. So as I indicated, from a regulated point of view, we think there are opportunities for growth, which is organic, but not as significant as we think it could be, because the growth in all our communities are very small. As you know, some of you look at economic development, and the economic development in most of these communities are not significantly growing as fast as we would expect. But we've seen significant growth in some areas, maybe like Kincardine, Port Elgin, because of the Bruce projects going on and all the subdivisions. So we see a lot of subdivisions coming online, and new homes are being built. So we see opportunities in that sector, in that area. However, we have to also be mindful of the changes we see in the industry from the energy efficiency point of view, EV, electric vehicle charging, and other emerging technologies. And is there an opportunity for us to enter that sector and as a subsidiary of our utility? We want to also continue to engage our customers, and that is you, the municipalities, shareholders, developers, contractors, and provide more value and effective service to them, because we want to sustain that great customer satisfaction score. Reducing operating costs is also important to us, because we want to make sure we keep the bills as low as possible as we look at these investments. That sometimes could be a very difficult balance, but however, we have to find ways to be efficient, whether through technology or for streamlining processes, and these are things that we are all doing right now. Improving financial performance for shareholders. Again, you've made an investment, so we want to make sure that is sustainable over the long term, and we need to make sure that we could balance it through debts and other revenues that are coming in. And lastly, we want to make sure we're able to continue to fund our upgrades and make sure we could invest in our infrastructure to make sure that these infrastructures are not reaching the end of life and we're not doing anything about it, but we got to be proactive, have an effective maintenance program, make the replacements where they need to be made, to ensure that the improved reliability that the customers are demanding from us is also sustainable. So I'm going to close off with just providing you our contact information. We do have a website, it's www.western.com. On our website, we get a lot of information, not only about our outages, planned outages. You also could reach all our different departments, whether it's engineering, conservation department, customer service. We have a lot of information on our utility scorecard. We give you links to the OEB, changes happening at the OEB. So all the information is out on our website. Feel free to visit it as often as you can. And with that, I will take any questions you may have. Again, thank you for this opportunity.
Right. Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. David, we have a good investment. We're making money and people are satisfied.
Yeah.
But I have a couple of things. Just are the wind turbine business, is that part of where you get your hydro from, or is it all?
Yes, it would be. The short answer is yes.
Yes.
Because all the power that we receive in the province is a combination of wind, hydro, nuclear, and all that. So the IESO, which is the system operator, buys power from various suppliers or operators, and we just buy that power at whatever the cost they say it is.
And my other question is, you show an example here, and you went through that 2017. An average bill of, what is it, 1,000 kilowatt hours for, if my math's correct, you correct me. That works out to 20 cents a kilowatt hour. It's $202 for 1,000 kilowatts.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So that would be about 20 cents a kilowatt hour.
So what would it be today? If that's 2 years ago.
Yeah. So
that seems quite high to me.
If you're looking at it in terms of the price of
comparing it to Hydro One, for instance.
Yeah. So I wouldn't look at that as the calculator, because there are other factors in there also. So there's the reactor price of power, and there are other charges that we put on there because we are recovering stuff like capital investments, not capital investment, but maintenance investments and all that stuff. So there's a whole formula. But if I were to take that value here and say it's $20, the prices change all the time. It's never fixed. Some of it is variable, some of it is fixed.
Well, today, what's an average bill today at 1,000 kilowatt hours?
An average bill today, and again, I'm not saying that this is specifically Westeria's bill. I'm just saying this is what we would look at. It would be a little lower because I would think, depending on the consumer or the customer, you've got these rebates in right now that government is giving. So it's hard to tell. But I think it would be a little lower, maybe not significantly low, because you have this huge 30% rebate that you're getting from the government. Back in pre-2017, you didn't have the rebate because there was no fair hydro plan. So in 2017, at the time, the government at the time had this 25% reduction in electricity costs, and that rebate is still there today. So I would think it would be a lot less.
And yeah, and I think the example here, and I see where you're coming from, Mark, but I think the example here is just to show you where the breakdown is more than the actual number. We probably should have had one from today because it is different, and it's different. I know in a couple of the conversations we've had in a couple of different places where we have, and you touched on a little bit about our growth ability, as you may or may not be aware, but we only can grow within our original urban boundary, which really messes us up because a lot of stuff that's happening in Kincardine and Saugeen Shores is Hydro One's territory, because even though it looks like it's in town, it's past the original urban boundary. Same as we have, as you know, on our industrial park. This side of Minto Road is Hydro One, this side is Westerio. That doesn't make sense, but that's the way the world is. So that's one of the concerns we have. But we had situations, I know, was it Teeswater, that we have people on, that they're in town, kind of, but because the original urban boundary was here, the houses were built on this side of the road. They're Hydro One. They pay a higher hydro bill than the people on this side of the road that are getting the power from basically the same thing, and because we're Westerio. So, and I'm in the country, so it's a totally different thing for me because I used to get a little bit better rebates because you're in the country somewhat, but then our cost was higher. So it becomes a little bit. I think this is a little confusing when you saw this.
But this is just the breakdown.
Just a breakdown,
yeah. I'm not saying that this is what the bill is today. It's just pre-17. I was giving you an example. If you had a standard home that was 1,000 kilowatt hours, this is what the bill would be like. This is what the breakdown would be. If I would take that same 1,000 kilowatt hours and look at what it is today, I'm sure it would be a lot different than what it is today. Tell you what exactly that would be, because like I said, the prices of time of use has changed significantly, and there are a lot of things that people are doing differently. Some people are moving their consumption on later to changing light bulbs. The cost of time of use also has gone down to a small extent, and you have the rebate on that. So I would have to look at what it is today and show you the breakdown based on today's value. But this was really an example to show you what the breakdown will be in terms of where the cost is allocated when you pay that. That was just what the illustration I was trying to show.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bridge. David, I like the report. It's really, really good. And I really like the pie charts. Our treasurer is really good at that, and our staff. It's a good way for to get the point across. And I mean, that's pretty cut and dried there. 1,000 kilowatts, $200. Well, that is expensive. But I wanted to know about the incentives. You guys are still offering incentives, and I don't want to drag this out, but I just wanted to say that it's a great report. Thank you for coming. And I mean, I'm not sure how often we've seen Westerio representatives, especially our CAO and our chair at our council meetings.
Well, this was a promise I made at the last AGM to get out to all the councils, and if the councils feel they want it once a year or whatever, similar to what you do with conservation authority,
for sure, it's great.
To update you, that we certainly would do that. One of the things in point 2 of a slide back there, when you talked about when you saw our dividend increase, one of the things that David and his group have done is Westerio used to basically contract a lot of subdivisions out because we weren't organized enough to actually we did the service work, but we never thought we could get the actual construction. Because we're doing the construction now more, you're seeing our dividends improve. And so we sit down, and Terry will know this, and we sit down. Westerio's at our meetings when we talk about subdivision growth. They're sitting there, it's great to have them there because we find out things when we're talking with developers. If we move that pole over there, that would save a lot of problems. Those are all things we're doing together. And David's VP of Operations now is coming out and talking to our guys. And I know our guys are working a lot. It's a lot better working with Westario, but that's one of the things that we needed to improve. And I give you a lot of credit for that. So those are the things we're doing. So, Ron?
Just a quick question talking about subdivisions and work. When they create a subdivision and the power has to go into the houses or wherever, even in industrial sites, do you compete for that job, or are the subdivision obligated to use Westario to run their hydro lines down, or is it from the pole in, or do they compete with you for positions?
Good question, Ron. They don't. We have something we call contestable work and uncontestable work. So when we provide something called a offer to connect, which we provide to the developer, he has two options: option A and option B. Option A says we'll do it, supply you all the materials, we'll do all the work, we'll take all the liabilities. Option B says we'll provide you the materials. You have a right to get a contract to estimate the work. However, liability goes on to you. When you're done, you have to hand it over to us. So most contractors don't like, or developers don't like B because they want to be running around and they find a contractor. So usually option A is available. But in the past, we always said, you just do your work and we don't want to get involved.
Right.
So we've taken a different approach. We're saying, we are open if you want us to do the work and we'll do it for you. So now, we see a lot of developers that take an option A rather than option B.
So how do you price those? Do you stay within market value?
We'll stay within market value. We do have the rates that we could charge that is approved already by the regulator. We can't overcharge. We'll be as competitive as any other contractor. Sometimes you have contractors that are bidding amongst each other. Their price could be a lot lower, but the risk of project management is where that could be very costly for a developer. So yes, he's saving by just having a contractor come in and do the work, but he's taking on the risk himself. So that extra amount that he has to pay to pass that risk over to Westario and let him do the project management, he's more confident that way, because if he's only going to save, I don't know, 15,000 or 10,000, he says, nah, just let the Westario do it. So we see a lot of that happening. There's some developers that really don't care about the risk. They just want it cheaper and then go that way. But I think the best option is to allow us to do the work, because at the end of the day, we will be taking over that work. So rather than you don't do it right and we come back and say, well, you didn't install it properly, you got to do it over again. They just rely on us to do the job. We design it because it's our design too, so we hand over the design to them and everything. So the only part they're responsible for is the construction part. So that option is available for them, but most developers allow us to do both the design and the construction and supply the engineering.
I like you making money for us. It's good.
All works nicely.
That's the business that we're in. And I just want to go back to David's question in terms of incentives. Incentives are still around. We right now, the OB has taken over conservation and demand program from the utilities. It's still going on. It's all managed by the ISO through a consultant or a proponent that does that work. We're very much involved in that work still. So customers are still allowed to call us if they do have programs where they want, like the save on energy programs. Not all of them are still around, but there's some of them that are still there, both for residential and also for some commercial. So the best thing to do is to contact us, find out what's going on. There's also the AFT, affordable incentives that the government provides. So if you, for something, want to insulate your home or want to change some light bulbs, there is that program that you could contact us with, and there's some incentives there too. So there's still programs out there to help with residential customers and businesses. So I'd encourage you to contact the Paul McGinn, who is really our conservation officer. He's still available, and he's going to be there to provide you the support you need in that program. So.
And we've used Paul in the past. He's done all the lights for the arenas. and we kept Paul on. And the federal government is going to come up. They're coming up with programs as well that we may need to So, but it'll be directly to the consumer, so we'll have to figure out how that's going to work. But
Yeah.
I do believe in conservation.
Yep, I definitely see that happening.
Any other questions for David?
All right.
Well, thanks, David.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Take care. Okay. So up next, I'm going to just preface this a little bit. So, as you know, we've been working away, and the government a while back had a task force out there with Ken Sealing and a few people, and they were looking at possible mergers and all the other things that were going on. And it was last October that Minister Clark came to, I guess it was an AMO meeting. An AMO meeting, yes, it was an AMO meeting in London, and basically said that no, what we're going to do now is we're not going to force amalgamations. We're going to give you some cash to look at possibilities of doing some services together. So shared services became the big catchphrase. And the county went through a whole process, which was great. And I mean, we got 20, and we had another little update about that today at our county economic development meeting. And through that process, I think this, and maybe I can sort of this spawned the thoughts of yeah. No, I'm just saying. I just want to set the plate for you. So I think it's great. And then so during this, we ended up talking to a couple of other municipalities, and it's nice to see Dale and Mike here from Wellington North. Thanks for coming. And I'll turn it over to you now. But this is why we're here today.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And we're done.
Bye.
Any questions? Ask Belinda. Anyways, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge.
I know
And yes,
you-
I was going to introduce our guest.
Oh, sorry. Did I do that too?
Yeah.
Nobody give me a script.
My colleagues, well, you know, our team, Summer and Taylor,
Oh, yes.
today, and Allie's from Mapleton.
Oh, Allie's here from Maple. Sorry, Allie. I missed you.
And Dale and Mike from Wellington
Yeah.
North. So this is the group that's been working together on this enhanced partnership presentation for today. And so I wanted to start off by kind of giving some background, because partnerships in economic development, especially in Mapleton, Wellington North, we're no stranger to.
Mhm.
We've been partnering since 2012 when we started our joint economic development meetings. It's hard to believe it's been 8 years.
Mhm.
With our first meeting on the 16th of January, and we had our last 15th one was in Moorfield. And as you can see, we've run through a bunch of topics, and a lot of great projects have come out of these meetings. Here are some of the highlights of things that we have worked on. Oh, sorry, Chris, I'm looking at something. Okay. So these are some of the projects that we've worked on hands-on. So BR&E, Business Retention Expansion. In 2014, 2019, these were countywide BR&E projects. The first one was a cross-sector. The second was a downtown-specific project. We did the launch of Renew Northern Wellington, of which it's a not-for-profit corporation that we're all members of. I'm the president. Dale's the secretary treasurer, or treasurer, I guess. And yeah, so that program is still running. And in 2019, last year, we pooled together to bring Your Town Rising here. And as you know, we'll get into that a little later on in the day, but that's been very successful for our communities. The youth programs have been something that we've worked really hard on with the establishments of the YACs in 2015 and 2016. Our Youth Connections event, which we hosted for the first time in 2017. It'll be our 4th year in April. Our Youth Resiliency Worker, which is Gabby, who is amazing. We worked with the Mount Forest Family Health team in that partnership as well. And then last year with the Rural Ontario Institute grant to be able to hire Aaron Raftis, who did a great job for us last year in the youth program. And then other programs, our WOWs, our Women in Business group. Wellington North and Minto have been in it for 10 years, and Mapleton joined us in 2017. We did at the IPM, which was 2016, seems like a long time ago now. We partnered again with Northern Wellington, having a manufacturer showcase. So with all those people coming to town, how could we showcase our manufacturers and the opportunities that they had available? We did our Butter Tarts and Buggies initiative for a few years and relaunched the Young Professionals in 2018. So we are no stranger to working together in ECDev, and we have a pretty good relationship with our partners. And I'll let Chris speak to where this conversation is coming from.
Well,
today.
Mayor Bridge stole my
Sorry, Chris.
But I will say that, and Mike can back me up on this, is this initiative actually started before the KPMG study was finished, and before any recommendations ever come out.
For sure.
Is going through that study, the 3 CAOs in the north, we kind of got together before and started realizing there's a lot of synergies and a lot of stuff that we can start working on. And this was just one that we picked off the pile, and we said let's start this right away and keep moving with this. And then when the study came out from KPMG, it showed that this was one of the top 20 recommendations. So we knew we were on the right path that we'd already started. So this is definitely falls within that, and we're all excited as CAOs to keep pushing this and see how it can turn out.
So yeah, we had meetings with the CAOs who introduced us to this enhanced partnership idea. And then since then, the EDO group has been meeting to kind of fine tune what that might look like, especially in the first year. And so we're going to walk you through the programs that we are thinking of for 2020. So the first one, I'm a big proponent of the Business Retention Expansion Program. This would be our fourth one for ourselves. And BRE is all about business relationships. And I think it's extremely important in a community. That's why we've been so successful in Minto, is because of the relationships we've built with our community. And I think this would be of great benefit in Mapleton. They have gone through several people in a short period of time. So getting out and meeting the businesses in their community, I think, are really important. We've identified the 4 key sectors that we would like to target as manufacturing, agriculture, healthcare, and construction. We are going to be doing 40 businesses per municipality, so 10 per sector, so totaling 120 businesses in Northern Wellington. And this will help us develop better relationships or improve relationships or enhance them, whatever you want to say, with our chambers of commerce, our VIAs, and really just giving us a direction on if this moves forward into something bigger, what that bigger might look like. What are some of the issues that we aren't aware of and how can we address them? So what would the benefits be to Minto? So enhancing relationships in the ag community is really important. We've in the past tried to do some ag programs and they haven't panned out. So Mapleton has a really strong agriculture sector. So tapping into that and building those relationships and helping our businesses in Wellington North and Minto maybe build the agriculture cluster stronger here. Also, just the Smart Cities initiative. So City Guelph and the County of Wellington recently got $10 million through the Smart City initiative. And one of it is all about technology and businesses and grants for ag food businesses. So it's a great opportunity for us to get out speaking to those businesses and connecting them to those grants. So actually launch it in summer is the intake for the North. So we are going to be very much involved with the Smart Cities project. So it's just a great fit for this time. The second key piece to this partnership is bringing back our youth engagement coordinator position. So as you remember, we had Gabby, and then she left, and we kind of said, let's just take a break from that position for a little while, evaluate how that looks and what that position might look like. And Taylor's done an awesome job carrying the load on this for the last year in our community specifically. And I know in the other 2 communities, it's been more of a struggle not having anybody to take that on. So we feel that last year, Erin did an awesome job in the summer putting together something for us, and we don't want to leave that sitting on the shelf. And we need to get this stuff off Taylor's desk so she can focus on some of the other initiatives. So this is a key piece for us. This person, we've left this money in the budget, so it's not a new budget item for us. So just so you know. Delivery of programs, so they would implement the programs in the intern report. They would develop the North for Youth strategy. They would work with all of our youth action councils. They would assist with our student startup program, the integrated youth services like the lady spoke about earlier. And we're also in talks with a job career volunteer fair with Norwell, and I know Wellington North has a similar one at their high school. So that is a lot of work for someone to do, and you can see why it's not something Taylor can do on the side of her desk and when you need somebody. So that's a big piece to that, and all the benefits you can see there. Our youth are so important, and making sure they know that they're welcome here and welcome to come back if they travel away is really important. The third piece to our plan is a focus on newcomer attraction and housing programs. A big piece of this is our Northern Wellington Jobs and Housing Portal. So right now, Minto has a portal, Wellington North has a portal. Mapleton never came on board back when we did this, and their employers were coming to us wanting to put their jobs on our portal. It's the same exact platform, so we thought, why not combine our resources, create a Northern Wellington Jobs and Housing Portal, really populate this website with all of the jobs in our area and all the housing opportunities, or soon to be rental housing opportunities, hopefully. for people. So this way we can, instead of us paying hosting fees and Dale paying hosting fees and everyone doing their own thing, we can pool our resources and then really amp up promotions of this site. So in the spring we do a big campaign and sites like visits spike, right? But having more people's money in the pot, we can sustain that over a longer time. So that's really key. And then the county has done their attainable housing strategy. And now that's moving forward. There's going to be a working group established, and we've nominated Dale, who's stepped up to represent Northern Wellington County at that table for us, and make sure that we're represented in that project. The other piece to this is the expansion of launch-it services to Mapleton and Wellington North. Thanks to the county, we've always had Harold DeVries be our business advisor, and we've paid him directly because we believe in the value of him. He's booked up all the time that he's here. And this is something identified as being needed in Mapleton and Wellington North as well. So the county has funded this for 2020 for us, so thank you to that for them. We're also looking at having training programs offered in the other two municipalities, as well as recruiting and onboarding the mentors. So this would be something new, and it would fall under summer to coordinate all the promotions, the recruiting, all that sort of stuff with the help of the people in those communities to identify who those might be. But she'd be the one onboarding those. And that would be an additional fee for that service. So for us, our advisors here one afternoon, this would open it up to be like, oh, if they can't come on Thursday morning, then they could come to Wellington North or Mapleton another day. It opens up more opportunities for our businesses as well, and also expands the mentor network for all of us. Like their businesses could tap into our mentors, our businesses can tap into theirs, vice versa. So it's a win-win for everyone. And then the last element for this year we're looking at is the targeted marketing and promotion initiatives. So developing a Northern Wellington brand that we can use whenever we're doing things. So when we do the Northern Wellington Youth Connections event, instead of having all three of our logos, we have our Northern Wellington logo on there. We would also, Mapleton is looking for some support around communications and social media strategies. So Taylor is our expert in that area, and so she would be leading the development of a strategy for them, and then Allie would take the strategy and implement it in her community, because she's based there. We'd also to continue to partner with the County of Wellington on promoting the CIP and the Ridewell and all other programs happening here. And specifically, we all have CIPs, and we're all printing promotions and getting promotions out. We feel that there's efficiencies in doing one print piece, highlighting all of them, and then distributing it. There'll be some cost savings there. And then not for this year, but down the road is a Northern Wellington Business Showcase. So Wellington North has had real success, having operated theirs for 10 years. And a lot of our businesses were going there, and it's a great opportunity to move it around, learn from Wellington North, and just promote the whole area, right? So I think we're advanced enough in economic development that we realize here that if Mapleton or Wellington North gets an industry, we're going to benefit, and vice versa. People don't recognize borders. They're going to live and work wherever they're going to choose, and we'd rather them choose to be in Northern Wellington than Perth County or Greater Bruce or anywhere else. So I think we're all of that mindset. A few things just to keep in mind. This is what we're planning for 2020. Everything that's in here is going to be funded by each municipality on their own. Many of our items are already in our budget. It's nothing new. We already do a lot of these things. Additional income for Launch It could be realized, and Mapleton will be invoiced for the services that we are providing direct to them. Everything else is going to be status quo. So we're going to continue to do the stuff in Minto that we've always done, and you'll see in our year-end presentation all that great stuff. The downtown programs will continue in each community that they have. The municipal culture plans, culture roundtables stay the same. Community improvement plans will continue to be managed at the local area. We're all going to keep working on our own industrial land sales, business attraction work, and yeah, that's that.
Discussions.
Ron. Great. We got great people here. Know them all. Just met Allie, but I do know them all. One concern I might have, if one community doesn't hold up their end of it, is there any way of evaluating where we're at and how we're? when this first came out, I wasn't in agreement with it, but now I see the value of it. It seems like a really good program, but what happens if one community lets us down?
So first off, I should have mentioned this. This is like an introductory presentation just to introduce the idea to everyone, and we'll be doing the same in Wellington North and Mapleton. And if everyone's like, yeah, let's continue down this road, we will put together a memorandum of understanding which will lay out all that sort of details.
That's
so
great.
we need to get into those details, but we wanted to kind of present that this is what we're thinking, this is what could work from our perspective, and then go from there.
Well, knowing these people, I don't have concerns about what they will offer, but it's a possibility.
And until you get into things, you never know, and right? So.
Yep. Thanks.
And I guess just to comment on that, I know Ron and I had some of the same concerns when we first started. I wanted to make sure that we've done really well, and Linda's team has done an excellent job, as you can see from their portfolio of last year's events, that we didn't lose anything. But we also have the ability to help other communities. Right now, Mapleton is in a situation where they don't have anybody. Allie's not the economic development person. She'll tell you that, but she's learning as she goes. But she also has other hats to wear. So my big concern, Ron, and I think you have that same concern, is that the money that we're asking some of them to give us if we're doing a service for them, if we feel that we need to add somebody in the summer or something to make sure we don't lose anything off our plate, we'll make sure that happens. And my big concern will be there. And any new venture, I think what we'll hopefully do is run it for a year, step back and have an evaluation. And I think all the councils will want to look at that and say what won, what worked, what didn't work, where do we have to add value. But it's a starting point. And I think I give the three EDOs and the CEOs a lot of credit for taking this first step. And I was skeptical at the beginning because I wanted to make sure we were protected, as we all would like to do. But I've always felt that the North should be, and we've done it. As you see, from 2012, we've done things together. And we certainly, I think, can be a powerhouse in Wellington County if we work on some of these things. So I'm excited to see how it goes. There'll be some learning curves, and there'll be some things that we'll have to work on.
I will mention that we have budgeted, when the budget comes forth, we have budgeted to hire a summer student this summer to assist us, because we do plan on doing the BRE project if this moves forward. It's starting in the spring, running across the summer. So we will need a summer student to help us, but that will be offset by the revenue coming in from it.
And on the BRE that I really wanted to stress is the fact that by the agricultural side, and with this $10 million that we've got through smart cities and 843,000 that just for the county alone, identifying the opportunities for some of our businesses to take advantage of some of that networking and the ability to grab some of that funding. But we have to know where they are. And this is why I think it's so important that this BRE gets done and done right.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, you already commented a bit on budgets, but will there be a separate budget for this, or
we have budget lines for all of these projects already, like the Live and Work site, BRE. We have all these budget lines. They're common things in our budget already. It'll be a new revenue stream, basically.
Nothing new for councils to consider at budget time because it's already in place?
Just the summer student would be,
okay.
So this is all going to be in the operating budget. So we have the summer student in there. We have an estimated revenue projection coming in. But everything else is like status quo for us. It's nothing new that we're doing.
Our budget will lower and we're improving on the
same.
service.
Instead of going up, it'll be
Cool.
But hopefully we'll get more value for our dollars.
Yeah.
What we're looking for.
Yeah, for
more
sure.
value.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bridge. I mean, these 5 initiatives that you've pointed out, I agree. I mean, I think you guys have done excellent work, and in conjunction with our other Wellington North municipalities, you can sit here and say, I mean, why didn't we do this before? But I mean, good for you guys. I mean, you're just taking us another step into the future. So congratulations, and let's get at it.
That's good. Okay. Good. So we're gonna carry on
Yep.
our next
I don't think we have a recommendation at this
Wellington
point.
North.
There would be no recommendation at this point in time because you're bringing forward a memorandum of
Yes,
understanding.
so we'll be in Wellington North the 27th, Mapleton the 28th, and then we'll know the direction from there and start working on an MOU. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for our visitors to come. Yeah. Hopefully we'll send somebody that way when it's time. You guys don't have to hang around if you don't want to. You can head out like it's 4 o'clock. Well, I know this is Dale. Dale told me he works from 6 to 4. That's his hours, Mike. So I don't know.
Well,
Thanks.
Tells us a lot.
Yes.
See, just do make sure here.
Yes, it does. Okay, public question period. Well, we managed to get rid of all the public. How's that happen?
well, that's here.
This is the room. Anyways, we're always available. Correspondence? Any, Mark?
Mayor Bridge, can we, there's a letter there concerning Beehive.
Yep.
That's not the first notice we've had. Is there any, can we put that topic on our next council meeting to discuss again?
Yeah, I think, yeah, and so, as you remember, unfortunately, Doug and Darlene's letter didn't get on it soon enough, but we did have it at the last meeting.
Yes.
But, so, I did check with the clerk. Right now, from the actions we took at the last meeting, we have asked for an appraisal of the property at this point in time, as you know. So I would hope that we can bring it back at the next meeting, Chris, and have a discussion on it, because at that point in time, we have to decide, we'll know what the value is, and maybe ask the staff. They did a report before, but maybe with the value in that, look at another report.
We'll bring another report back with the values of the land, report back on that, and then the option of what you want to do with it, whether we want to sell it or what. We'll bring that back, as well as include this correspondence.
There was one more correspondence.
As well as one other letter in the report that you can have a discussion at the next meeting about what to do with the property afterwards.
Okay.
So just, we didn't have a motion to sell it?
No, we never. No, we only put it. We asked for it to be put surplus. So being surplus
We had a
doesn't mean
motion to surplus it?
well, we did that at the last meeting.
So I'm just trying to,
It's just the first step.
point of order, I believe, to bring it to the table again. In that situation, you need 2/3 council vote to bring it to the
May
table
happen.
again. So at that time, we could do that, if that's what council.
Well, I think the idea being, and I guess I throw this out there. I mean, it's declared surplus. That doesn't mean we have to sell it. Doesn't mean we have to do anything with it. And when you declare a property surplus, we go out and get an appraisal or find out what the appraised value, because we didn't know the appraised value. We'll get an appraised value. We'll have an idea, and we'll have a discussion of what you want to do with it.
What we can do is put it on the next agenda, and we'll research into it, what the motion was, and if it is, to Councillor Elliott's point, if we need a 2/3 vote to put it back on, it'd at least be on the agenda for next one, and you can have that discussion and follow the proper procedure to put it back on the agenda to have
That's
that
all I'm
discussion.
concerned.
Yeah.
Yep, we'll make sure that the procedure's followed.
You know, we'll go there, but I think we need to know what the value is, and that's why we went ahead with it, because that was the motion from before, and you can't stop that. We've already actually got that done. So, and that gives the staff time to look into a couple things. I had a couple people ask me some questions. So we'll go from there. Okay. Fair enough? There'll be an opportunity. All right. Anybody else? Anything else? A motion for the correspondence?
I can.
Deputy Mayor Turton.
It's a nice letter from
Councilor
John.
Elliott. All in favor? Yeah, that's a good point. Do you want to pull that?
I mean, it's a nice letter.
Yeah, I
think
should mention that John's letter, talking about infrastructure,
we support that.
and that's exactly what we supported. And John and I've had many chats about sustainable funding on, and that's the way FCM is looking at it. I did do a little report for the county at the last meeting, at the budget meeting, and somebody asked that question at the budget meeting, and I'm not sure we'll get double gas tax this year like we got last year, but the federal government has said that they're going to look at more enhancement in the gas tax to go directly to the municipality. So it's nice that John sent that from the opposition. And I know the Conservative Party talked about it at election time, and so did the NDP. So I think the federal government is looking at maybe giving us direct money a little bit more than we've been getting in the past. So that'd be nice. So it's all good. All right. Staff reports. I mean, do I turn this over?
Committee minutes for approval.
Oh, committee minutes for approval. Parks and Rec. Okay, there you go. That's turning it over to Ron.
And welcome, Parks and Rec guy.
Thank you, Councillor Elliott. We held our December meeting at the Lions Clubhouse in Palmerston on the 11th. We had a strong finish to 2019 at the Norgan and surpassed the 10,000 total patrons mark for the second straight year. We had just under 11,000. In 2018, we had just over 11,000, so almost identical numbers, and these are the only 2 years that we've surpassed the 10,000 mark, so another strong year, and we think January is going to be quite busy also. Frozen 2 is being held over for a second weekend, so we'll have it for 3 consecutive, and then we'll see what we get from there.
Get out to see it there, everybody.
Yeah, it's not bad. I saw it there on Friday, I guess it was, and it's good for all ages. Not too scary and not too boring either. So.
Also can freeze your heart.
Yes, yeah, you better watch out for those special powers. We started a second hockey program in Clifford on Saturday. Drop-in program for pickleball starts tonight in Clifford. With the hall there, the nice big roofs like I've mentioned before. We've got Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays that we're going to be doing a drop-in program for basically anybody 14 plus. All the equipment's there. You just need clean indoor shoes. So I'll be heading up there tonight to see what type of turnout we get. And it's nice to have the 4 sessions, 2 during the day, 2 at night, because with the winter weather, you never know what might blow our way. With the facilities, we had a busy month of December with a lot of Christmas get-togethers and tournaments, along with our regular usages. As you can see in some of the notes there, minor maintenance was required at the facilities, and we're hoping to soon have that second set of mini goals for hockey at the Harrison Arena to complement the foam dividers that are there now. It's really neat to see the half-ice boards, the half-ice rink dividers, and the mini nets. It's just kind of completely changes the way those games are played for the youngsters. On page 3, you'll note Old 81 in Palmerston looks great with the new lighting, as visible in that photo. It's
Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah. And with respect to the recreation, culture, and facilities master plan, the task force meets next week to prepare questions regarding recreation programs for the Engage Minto platform and for the community meeting later this month. And I can send you details regarding the community meeting later this week. It'll be the 30th, which is a Thursday at 7 o'clock, and we're going to have that one in Palmerston. The Drew Community Board sent us a request to cover half of their insurance premium for the coming year, and that was approved. $216 to operate and maintain a ball diamond, hall, and pavilion, which is a pretty good deal for us. And finally, we reviewed the names of community members on the Norgan Theatre Board as well as the Minto Retiree Activity Group. They'll no longer be listed on the appointment bylaw and will be considered subcommittees of PRAC moving forward. So just a bit of a housekeeping item that we looked after in December. Any questions?
Seeing no comments, I take a motion to receive and accept the PRAC minutes. Mayor Bridge? Deputy Mayor Turton? Deputy Mayor Dave, but this all in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Turn that to you.
Oh, yes. Sorry. So wake up now. Building assistant. And how were your 2 weeks holidays?
They were really good, actually. I enjoyed
Excellent.
my time away from here. So I'm going to do this report for Michelle. This is an application for exemption of park lot control. So the subject property is located on Elora Street South in Harrison, across from Minto Auto. So there's 2 semi-detached buildings that have been constructed on that property over the last year or so. And the developer for this parcel is a new developer to our area and also new into the development game called Galaxy Construction. And they're to a point right now where they would like to start selling the individual units. So in order to split the parcels into 4 separate units, they have to go through the exemption part lot control process. Staff and our engineer met, and we had no concerns with this application. Any of the town's concerns have been addressed already through the site servicing agreement, as well as the grading plan that came with the building permit. So the recommendation is that you receive the Building and Planning Assistance Report dated December 23rd regarding part lot control exemption application for Galaxy Construction Group Limited and considers passing a bylaw in open session. Any questions?
Housekeeping. Yeah. Moving to seconder. Judy. Jeff, all in favor? Good.
Excellent. Thank you.
They look pretty nice, actually.
Yeah, they look really good.
Nice job. And now, next up, we have economic. Again, but like she's got a lovely look. Here's your book. Everybody get their book.
Nice.
Alrighty. Awesome. So
You got one for Pat?
we're like keeners this year, giving
You
you
got
a
one,
year
Pat?
in review already. So
Sure.
Awesome.
Pass that down to Pat.
everyone should have their beautiful copy here that Taylor, our in-house graphic design expert, put together for us. With economic development, it's really important every year to make sure that everyone is aware of all the things that happen. I think over the course of the year, you can forget all the amazing things that are going on in our community. And so we want to highlight that in booklet form. And this will be shared on social media as well as presented at our chamber AGM meeting in February and at other venues as well. So we are going to take turns going over, we're not going to obviously read this whole thing to you, you can read it on your own, but we're going to take turns going through the highlights in the different areas because we all are leads in certain projects, but we all backfill and support each other where needed. So I'll let Taylor get started. Okay. So this year we did a special edition of our annual community guide to celebrate our 20 years. We also printed and distributed our third annual Minto holiday shopping event guide. There were 8,000 copies of that guide and 6,500 of the community guide. As you all know, we have a lot of committees that we sit on. So there's 12 local committees, not including all of the there seems to be more and more committees forming from these downtown initiatives, which is very exciting, but also time consuming. So we sat down, I guess, last Friday for the whole day and mapped out our 2020, booked in all the meetings, tried to make more during the day, use for time, less evenings and everything, and really just trying to divide and conquer. Just really make the most of all of our time and efforts. And then we have another 6 regional committees that we are involved with. And it was also the craziest year ever with all of these events. There were 31 events in total. All of them were really well attended. We all really enjoyed them. There's a lot of good feedback from the public, so that's always, of course, the goal. I won't go through them all, but the majority is definitely family-friendly focused, which is always our goal, and that seems to bring out the most amount of people, since really that's our target audience in Minto. Under the Where Your Business Belongs piece, once again, we hosted the Pitch It business plan competition, revamped it a little bit this year, having prizes awarded to all people, customized, with the winner being the old post, Escape Your Post 2.0. And we're getting ready to launch this program again this year. Our Community Improvement Plan program was once again another successful year. We gave out just over $50,000 in funds, and as you can see, there's some significant improvements to buildings in our downtown core from those photos. And we were able to this year tap into the county's funds. So we had 3 businesses receive funding through the county process, which we play a very active role in the administration of that until it gets to the county. You can see there the industrial permits, the commercial permits, and I did forget to put in here that we did sell 3 lots last year. So shout out to my partner, Terry, who is always there to support me whenever I don't know answers to industrial questions. In terms of Where Your Family Belongs, this year was the first year we had newcomers events in all 3 of our communities with the support of our downtown Revite groups. And it's really interesting when we say welcome 77 new families, that's just people that came to those events. There's a lot more people that are new to Minto, and it's really interesting to see where the people are coming from. And it's the feedback from these events is so positive, and it just reinforces the Where Your Family Belongs and how welcoming our community is. So that was a great initiative this year again. Moving on to the Move to Minto section. This is a new program for us this year. The Chamber had done Move to Minto a long time ago. As you can see, the little brand change in the top left corner. And this was really a joint effort with our real estate and development community after meeting with them, identifying certain things we wanted to work on. One of the big wins for us was attending the Home and Garden Show in Kitchener-Waterloo. It's a huge show, and we were the only municipality there, and you wouldn't believe the number of people commenting on that and just thought it was so great, and picking up the brochures for Quality Homes and Right Haven. And not a lot of municipalities do that for their developers, so I think that's really important, and we're already booked to attend again this year. Our Google AdWord campaign, as you can see, was very effective. We worked with Awesome on that and had over 1 million, almost over a million and a half impressions to that campaign. So we're really pleased with how this went and looking forward to doing this again this year. Moving into the Downtown Rising stuff, wow, who knew what was going to come out of that Your Town Rising project? It's really, really inspiring to see all the great stuff and the involvement from our community. And I'm not going to go through all the activities here, but as you can see, 660 Instagram followers in a few months. We have 17 committee members and it keeps growing. And it's just all around a great initiative, and 2020 is going to be even more exciting. Yes, so then further, that with Harrison Rising, so that was the first, downtown initiative to really get off the ground. But since then, we had All Aboard Palmerston and Clifford Connects, which has really been awesome. So Palmerston so they celebrated their public art project with the trendy trains in June, which was really great, tying in that railway heritage and public art. They created some selfie trains. They had a ton of benches, which were also in Harrison, logos on the sidewalks. They had a tiny trains and treats events with over 40 kids, despite a really crappy rainy day, which was great to see. They've launched their website, had t-shirt fundraisers, and there's a whole lot of events that they're planning for 2020. So that's been so exciting to be a part of, especially just having so many different community members volunteering their time. So there's 31 committee members and 427 Instagram followers. And then just because there's a lot of social media accounts that we tend to, so it's been great to see community volunteers stepping up and creating Facebook groups and things like that, just to take it one step further in terms of communication. And then for Clifford, so Clifford didn't actually participate in the Your Town Rising presentations and walkabouts, but they were really inspired by what was happening with Palmerston and Harrison. So community members kind of approached us, and then we've been working together, and they've been growing with their committee members. There's 15, and I'm sure more to be joining soon. So they are planning their biggest event would be the Light Up the Street event, kind of kicked off their holiday season. They've had all of their branding and everything done, and now they are working towards a public art project in June. So they're going to be focusing on that telephone booth history with Whiteman. So they're going to be doing these telephone booths, which will be really cool. So we're excited about that. And they have 212 Instagram followers just since November. So it's really cool to see all of the engagement. It's been really exciting for us. So it was a super busy whole year at the museum. So we had our 2 students, Haley and Felix, and they were incredible. We're really going to miss them next year. They won't be able to return, but they've generously offered to train, whoever we hire, their students to grant. So that's really awesome. So they had almost 1,500 people in total attendance at the museum. The Saturdays were definitely the busiest day of the week, the market being a factor of that. 481 total train riders, 228 handcar rides, and a total of 504 souvenir sales. They completely renovated the baggage shed, which hopefully most of you have seen. It looks amazing. I don't know how they pulled that off, but it looks awesome. It was a lot of work. There's an amazing railway model that was donated this year, right when you walk in the door. It's pretty exciting for all ages, just to kind of get a look and see that. And lots of different significant visitors to the museum. A lot of international visitors, like from India to the United Kingdom, China, and the States, and all across Canada. So really cool that a small town museum is bringing in such diverse people from all sorts of places. And it's really come a long way in the past few years, so it's been really great for us to see that. And then for the farmers markets, that's been the perfect venue for the Palmerston Farmers Market, which I think is a huge part of its success as well. So going into 2020, it's going to be the 10th anniversary of the market, which is really exciting. And this past summer was a really successful season. They had almost $1,700 market bucks received through the county's program. We had 17 regular season vendors, it's been steady growth the past few years, but that's definitely the highest we've had. 695 Facebook page likes, 404 Instagram account followers, and Luke Hartong, who's incredible, he has hosted 3 different trivia nights, which has been a huge source of revenue for the market. So that's been really awesome. So it was a really good season. Moving on to the regional partnership piece, as you know, Saugeen Connects is a partnership with 5 municipalities. We won a provincial award this year for our work. We hosted several key initiatives this year. One of those was a labor force diversification event. We had 40 employers there. We also did a video series that will be coming out shortly, highlighting our employers and the benefits of living and working here. And we'll be doing a whole campaign around that. And my favorite, most successful program is the Saugeen Student Startup Program, where we had 41 youth do 34 businesses, and in Minto specifically, 10 youth ran 8 businesses, and they were just so awesome and special, and I can't wait to get started with the next round, because it's really cool to see what the kids can do here. And then the County of Wellington, we've been active in our partnership with them, with RideWell and the housing strategy, and look forward to what's coming ahead in 2020. And so for our youth, so as you've seen from the report, and we've discussed it a bit just today, we hired our municipal youth intern, Erin Raftis, who was incredible this past summer. A huge, huge help, especially since we didn't have Gabby this year. So she created 6 different action plans with data collected by youth, so mainly through Norwell. There was one Northern Wellington Youth Engagement Retention Strategic Plan template created, which is amazing because that is so time consuming, and she did her research and basically has all the bones. We just need to fill it once we hopefully have this youth coordinator and a bit of a task force behind that. And she created a full Northern Wellington youth resource list, which has been huge, and we that was given to all grade 9 students at Norwell, just in terms of mental health, in terms of sports recreation, basically you name it, she had it on this list for them, which is great to have. She did 56 different surveys from youth, and then helped with the 3 municipal youth engagement projects with Norwell, which Norwell came to do presentations earlier this year. So she was super busy this summer and really did a lot of the groundwork for us to really move forward on things. So we're really grateful to have her. And for the Minto Youth Action Council, they had another busy year, not as busy as other years, just kind of changes. Some of the youth haven't, or they were busy, now they're getting older, working, things like that. So it was a bit of a transitional year, which is too bad, but also it's normal. So they had their 3 outdoor movie nights, so that was their biggest focus. There were 2 Outstanding Youth Citizens Awards, which went to Krista Kepke and DJ Campbell, who are 2 key members on MIAC. And then they also sponsored another bursary at Norwell commencement, and they tried their hands at a trendy train for that public art project. So it was a good year overall. And then we also, as we mentioned before, we had our Northern Wellington Youth Connections event. I think this was the third event? Yeah. This will be the 4th coming up. Yes. So we had 200 grade 9 students, which was amazing, and then we focused on entrepreneurship, trades, wellness, resume writing, and various skill building activities at that event. And then in terms of networking, this will be, I guess, the 2nd year. It was just a year in October that we've revived this Young Professionals Network. So that's a partnership with Wellington North and Mapleton. So the 3 municipalities, we had 3 different events, and I think there's more now, but 130 on the mailing list to stay involved. So now we're working at adding some more events and hoping to add a specific event for to kind of go with our Live to Lead event next October too, to tap into those young professionals. So excited to see what comes there. And then we celebrated 10 years of WOWSA, as I mentioned before, the 240 attendees and 9 events last year alone, and it continues to grow and be really successful. Already our January event is sold out and it's next Thursday. So really excited and how that partnership keeps growing and expanding. And before Summer speaks, I just want to reiterate, Summer is a shared staff person with the Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber of Commerce is a huge, huge partner in our work. And so we have included a page of the Chamber's work so that if you're asked, what does Summer do up at Launch It, then you're able to respond knowing that she works half for Launch It and half for the Chamber and all the things that that encompasses. So over to Summer.
Well, thank you very much. So it's been a while since I've been in front of everyone here, so hello. I have some exciting things to report that Launch It was working on this past year, and then some really great things moving forward to 2020. We are, so up at the top there on the right, you can see that we had 386 attendees in our training. And what customized business assistance is, that's just a fancy way of me saying, I'm sitting down with them to help them with their social media and help them develop their business plan and answer the questions or triage them. I've been there 5 years now, going on 5 years, and so you know, you learn a few things sitting in all these training presentations, and having been in business before too. But that also encompasses some of our other one-offs, like I'll get Mary Lou Colwell to come and meet with someone one-on-one for, you know, that needs accounting or bookkeeping assistance. So there's so many different ways that we've been able to really customize and hone in, rather than doing this broad spectrum, because as you know, in a rural community, you have a little bit of everything. So that's what we're really finding. You can't kind of paint everyone with the same brush. It's more customized. What do you need? So that has been hugely successful. The Ask an Advisor, we've had 35 client meetings. That's not attendees, that's just meetings. And that's between Herald and Faith Lock and Second Chance Employment. And they come about 10 months out of the year, not the full 12. So they're very busy and active, as well as we have Tom Lucis from the County of Wellington. He's met with some people, immigration and millennial kind of stuff, and so that continues to grow, and we hope to be able to include that if we do move forward in our neighboring communities. I think that's something that's so beneficial, just have that day a week where people can come and get extra resources and some help. As you see, some exciting things are happening with Launch It. We've changed the inside of it. I've spent a year painting on and off, and I'm not the best painter, but it's all one color now. And now we're going to change what our branding says and what our messaging is. We're really going to be focusing on co-working, connecting, and community. Those 3 C's, just to kind of rebrand and make us more visible within the business community in Minto. So very exciting. Some of the topics that we've covered, not including them all, but in our training workshops and whatnot, I mean, grant funding and opportunities, digital marketing and social media, bookkeeping, human resources, leadership development, branding and brand clarity, and first aid and health and safety training. So, I mean, all those things are one-off, as well as our customer service and marketing and those standard mainstays of business. So we are keeping busy. McLaughlin Financial graduated. Joe was our latest tenant to graduate and launch out into one of the building on the corner there where Awesome Interactive used to be. But currently we have a lot of tenants, and we've developed that they're occasional use tenants. We've found that has just been a huge help for a lot of businesses as they're starting to grow and navigate within Minto to bring their services. So we have Kathy Butcher from Sun Life Financial. She has moved into the office unit 3, the one right beside me, and she's there every day. Annie McDonald, she's a speech pathologist, and she comes every Monday to Launch It and meets with clients, and she's just wonderful and hoping to grow her business and become a permanent fixture in Minto. Randy Scott Clinical Services. Randy was always coming every other or one Saturday a month. He would always come and meet with clients, but now he is coming every Thursday as well. So he's there every Thursday and then one Saturday a month. So he's starting to kind of grow into this, and that meshes nicely with mental health, and I've connected those two together too. Quality Homes was in ours, but they've now moved into their house, their show, yeah. Family Services Wellington, Infrastructure Ontario, and we had the municipal youth intern, Megan. She was there for the summer. Erin, sorry, the other one. She was there. Pat, you did that too, didn't you? Yes.
Pat does it all the time.
Yes, and the Digital Main Street Service Squad, which I'll get into a little bit more on the next page, and the Youth Action Council. So as you can see, Launch It is a busy spot. Lots happening. In kind of our fact-finding expedition with, what do people need, what businesses are out there, we noted that there was a huge sector of businesses that weren't being recognized by us, and that was the homeowners or the home-based business owners. They're a huge source of revenue within our community. They work here, they raise their kids here. We really need to offer them some support too, because it's pretty lonely in business, and then even more lonely when you don't have bricks and mortar or employees around you. So we conducted a survey and got them all engaged. And how many people are on the social media channel? Do you know?
Just over 70.
Yeah, I think there's 70 in our group.
Members.
So that's
Wow.
members of a group, not just followers. So they are all engaged and they chat back and forth with each other and do tips. So we're really trying to hone in on that. We've got some makers markets going and pop-up shops with these homepreneurs. So they're just awesome. Live to Lead. I know you're all familiar with this event. It's been going on now for 2020 will be our 5th year. We have expanded it to Hanover, Wellington, North and Center Wellington, as well as Minto. So we show it 4 times, and there's over 300 people that have attended, like in the past year. So generally, we get between 200 and 400 people per year that come and see us. So that's amazing. One exceptional thing that I think the Chamber, and I guess we'll do Launch It too, the Chamber applied technically for the Digital Main Street Grant. However, it has been just overwhelming, like such great response from our businesses. I just received word yesterday that 11 of our businesses applied for the Digital Transformation Grant, which is that $2,500 grant. They had to do training. So like that's massive, and they can use the money on a new website, hiring someone to do their social media. It will really impact the whole community, because if they, they're using it on exposure for their business, that brings more recognition to Minto. So and Ethan has been an amazing person to spearhead that. All the feedback I get about him is just thumbs up. So we're very pleased with that. Now we are able to extend his contract too. We found a little bit more money different ways, and we're able to extend his contract. He was supposed to be here to the end of March, but now I believe we get to extend it for another month or so. So he's going to continue to assist businesses and help them with whatever they need digitally. And as Belinda alluded to before, I don't have much information on this. It is new. My first meeting with the Circular Food Economy is going to be February 18th. So I look forward to being part of that new initiative and connecting people up here in Minto with this amazing new work stream, I guess. Yeah, project, yeah. And then quickly on the Chamber of Commerce side, last year was our 20th anniversary. Just like the town of Minto, we went through a huge rebranding process. I'm sure you noticed our new logos and billboards and things like that. Our president, John Mock, has been incredibly supportive of, pushing us forward and making sure that we get our news out there and what we're doing and really try and be relevant and connect with our businesses. It's hard when I'm, 16 hours a week, but the board does an amazing job of kind of celebrating the chamber and all that we bring to the community. I would like to special note to Whiteman and 88.7 The River. They have been incredibly supportive of Launch It as well as the chamber. I mean, they do the What's Happening in Minto show. I do it once a month where I go around with Whiteman. They pull the audio and play it on the radio. So, I mean, it gives our businesses a chance to be on television and on the radio for free talking about their business. I was kind of grandfathered into that interview process, or I was sidebarred or sidelined into that interview process, but nonetheless, I'm getting used to it.
I didn't see on the global the awards the other night.
I know. I don't know. They must have missed it.
Must have missed it.
They must have missed it.
Golden Globes, yeah. Golden Globes. Next year.
I think in the last little bit here, I mean, it's so important to acknowledge and celebrate our new businesses. You've all attended the ribbon cuttings and grand openings, and thank you to those businesses for choosing Minto to open up in. We need them. We love them. We appreciate them. We had 15 in 2019, 15 ribbon cuttings. It kind of felt like more than that.
It did feel like more.
It did feel like more than that. But nonetheless, that's just fantastic. I think that it's really shows a testament to doing business here in Minto. And another thing that I've been working on, myself and Sharon Darcy, who's a Listowel Chamber of Commerce, we work so well together, and she's just awesome. But she and I work together to develop a regional chamber executive group. We actually meet tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. for breakfast and whatnot, just to share, hey, do you have a forum for this? Do you have an idea for this? What do you do for this event? And instead of reinventing the wheel, we sit around the table and really share our ideas and maybe help navigate problems and situations. So that's what's happening in my world.
And just on that note, and it was sad today, we were at a meeting today and found out that Erin and Hillsburg Chamber of Commerce is folded.
Oh.
And we take our chambers for granted somewhat, and what they do and how vibrant ours is. But there's struggling ones out there. So, the economic development person there, now all that load falls on their shoulders. It's tough. So just the fact that it's great to see how we work with the chamber and the chamber works with us. So pass that back to the chamber membership from the council, because when I saw that today and I went that Erin's a big downtown core and Hillsburg not so much, but that's a big area not to have a chamber of commerce.
It is. Yeah, we're creeping up actually, which is kind of unheard of for chambers. We're creeping up to almost, I think, 57% of our businesses are chamber members,
which is unreal.
And that's like you're lucky if you get 20%.
Yeah.
So we're so proud of our business.
Yeah, no, keep
and
up.
Things like the Harrison Rising and all of our commerce connects. Those really connect everyone.
Yeah, no, it's great, and it was sad to hear that today. So that was.
Okay, just quick, my last speaking point, our social media. So lots of new followers and growth on all of our platforms, so YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Instagram and Facebook are definitely our two biggest platforms, like in terms of engagement. And just since the report last year in December, we've had 877 brand awareness growth. So that's the new followers, which I think is amazing. Definitely like considering our population size, to have like that many, like 2,500 Facebook followers, things like that. It's pretty great, and we do have such a engaged online community, so that's a really nice factor to have. And then earlier this year, I came to council and implemented that our social media strategy. So now we're just a bit more intentional and have more purpose behind what we're posting. So more content that's actually useful to our residents, businesses, community, and that makes them want to actually engage, which I think is really crucial for a municipality. I'm managing 15 different social media accounts, so primarily through Facebook and Instagram, and then just a bit on our engagement. So that was launched, I guess, last December, so it's just been over a year, which has been awesome. We had 10 different projects last year. 3 different departments had those projects, so of course ECDev, Recreation, and then Treasury had a project as well. And then we did 2 projects outside of municipality with the Minto Maintenance and Family Health Team. So a total of 364 site registrations and over 3,000 site visits, which I think is pretty great for the first year. And we have lots, we're working with Recreation, as Matt had kind of mentioned, to do some projects with the rec plan and everything. And we have some fun downtown stuff, so those will be rolling out shortly. Okay, so then our last slide, we always like to tell you about where we've been asked to speak. So last year there was a lot of North Huron presentations specifically around CIP projects, and now I guess I've become a teacher at the University of Waterloo to the Master of Economic Development program around rural economic development incubators, and then the Economic Developers Association of Canada does a course specifically on not rural incubation, but incubators in general. And as you can see from the quote that Paul Parker gave, who's the director there, we are very rare, and that's why we get asked to present all the time. because it's a great case study at Launch It and something that we need to be proud of and make sure that you guys are aware of too. This is rare and we're successful. And then obviously our EDCO award for the Cool Cones project. It seems like that was so far ago and we're coming up on another EDCO conference here. So we get asked all the time and complimented on the work we do in Minto for economic development, and honestly would not be possible without our team and the support from council and our businesses and our chamber. People can't do this with one person. It's impossible, and people are starting to realize that, and hence why they're now coming to us looking for support. So we're really proud of the work that our team does, and we hope that you are as well. If there's any questions.
This is pretty amazing, you guys. And I mean, you say you're pretty proud of yourselves. Well, we're extremely proud of you guys. I mean, everywhere you go, you hear your three names. We talk about we go to Guelph. Somebody realizes we're from Minto or Hairston. What are you guys doing to your downtown? It's beautiful. I mean, it's so amazing, you guys.
Thank you.
So thank you.
And it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And so Minto's commitment to the long game is paying off. So thank you.
It's a group effort. So congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say you presented an awesome, what was that, 3 years ago?
Yeah, probably about
3 years ago. And the last 2 years, your name has been brought up as something we should be looking forward to bringing forward to our presentations when we have our programs for our conventions. And you did a great job, and what 3 is doing a wonderful job in economic development. I'm very proud of you, and like I say, well known across oceans, right across Ontario, and all small municipalities, and you put us on the map with that presentation.
Thank you. Cool. Any questions?
No, fine.
We're all good?
Beautiful. Well done.
All right, thank you.
Good job.
Motion to accept. Deputy Mayor Curtin. Person, all in favor? Good. Turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Bridge. We've got a few things on the agenda today, and I think there's a couple here that are pretty easy. So, Gord,
I don't think I can top the last one. But
so let's go to
I do have 5 things. So.
You beat him on numbers.
No pictures, though.
I know you're not.
No pie charts.
Can you get some order here?
You could control what you hear.
Yeah, so go
You're in
ahead.
charge, man.
I know you're a pretty looking revenue coordinator, but let's start with the Section 357 applications.
We both had a very busy week missing our old tax collector that's out on the golf course now. So anyway, we've survived.
Oh yeah.
Old or former?
Has she sent you pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad. Anyway,
Good
our
for her.
first thing is a tile green loan. I guess actually, I think we've got 357s first.
Yeah,
so that is all 4 of them are removal of buildings this time. So this is when something's been torn down or whatever, and they get a reduction in the taxes. So,
Any questions on this?
No.
So that the recommendation is that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the January 2020 report from the Treasurer and the Revenue Coordinator regarding Section 357 applications, and that these applications be approved. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Mayor Bridge, Councillor Dirksen. All in favor of that motion? Against? It's carried.
Can I just ask if everybody got a blank page following that? Yes? Okay. I mean, I don't think we need to see them, but.
No. Yeah, they were all the same.
Okay.
There's only.
all,
Yeah.
torn down.
So then the next one is the tile drainage loan. Treasurer Duff, please, let's
This
move
is
into that.
A new one, and I think you're all pretty familiar with
Sure.
the tile drainage loan program. Yeah, this is something that the town has a flow through. The farmer, the landowner applies for a loan with the province, with the Ministry of Agriculture, and we pass it through, and there'll be a bylaw later on. So this one is only for $18,500, and we could get $50,000
$18,550. If you say that fast, that's not much. Any questions? The recommendation is that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the Revenue Coordinator's January 3rd, 2020 report regarding the tile drainage loan and considers the tile drainage rating bylaw 2020-04 during open session. I have a mover and a seconder. Councillor Gunson, Councillor McKenzie, all in favor of that motion? Against? That's carried. Thanks, Mark. Next one. The interim tax levy.
That's right. So this being the first meeting for the year, we usually do our tax bylaw and borrowing. So this is to set our interim bylaw, which is basically based on 50% of the previous year, not including special area rates and things like that. And we have our regular classes and that too. And this gives us authority to pay the bills.
Questions? Okay, then the recommendation is that the council receives the January 3rd, 2020 report from the treasurer and the revenue coordinator regarding the interim tax bylaw and consider passing bylaw 2020-01 in open session. Moved by Mayor Bridge, seconded by Councillor Elliott. All in favor of that motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you. All right, so the next one, Treasurer Duff, is the are we at the authorization of temporary borrowing?
We are.
Okay,
And,
go ahead.
sure.
Go on
So
behind.
again, this is an annual requirement. We like to do it, and our banker likes to see us do this one too. So this is for temporary borrowing. Again, if it's something we can continue. We've never utilized it in the past, but if we ever did have to, this gives us authority, and it's for temporary tight cash flow situations. And again, it's based on our previous year's levy, and it's based upon that amount.
Questions? Seems like a waste of time, but one of these years
Might need it.
we might use it.
So close.
We have? So the recommendation is that the council receives the treasurer's report dated December 19th, 2019, and considers passing bylaw 2020-02 in regular council session to authorize temporary borrowing if deemed. I'm a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Gunson, Councillor McKenzie, all in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you. And the approval of the accounts.
Okay, so that's our big one. And see, we've been very active in Treasury Department in
Yeah,
December there.
Danny.
Thanks, Santa Claus.
That's why you get the borrowing done, eh?
Yeah, that's it. So of our 3.4 million, 2.1 million was paying the upper tiers tax levy, so that accounts for a lot of it. But there are also a lot of other things going on. We're working to complete the I guess our final grant under the MDM2 program. So we had invoice from one of our drainage engineers working on the flood modeling project of about $37,000. We've also got a lot of public works projects, but probably the work was done before the snow, but the bills are in now. So the guide rails out in the township for $45,000. Another coat of paving on a block of Ann Street in Clifford for $38,000. $120,000 of sidewalk work, and I'm sure we all noticed that as we're driving around. So purchase of new kind of replacement of the tractors and that, but so far we've had quite a bit of snow so far this winter, and it's worked out well for $306,000. A lot of drainage work, as you know, at the previous council, so about $205,000 of that. Some of it we recover from assessments. In the wastewater, we're still working on improving the SCADA and the monitoring system. So at the Harrison plant, $56,000 for that project. And just a few miscellaneous recreation projects that we're finishing up. Brine headers for $8,500. Lights for the old 81 for about $5,000. And a heater at the Lions Den for $3,700. So it's
Questions?
been a busy time.
Sorry, go ahead.
Are you, the 57 grand at Palmerston is part of that's for what?
The wastewater one?
No, we're talking rec.
Rec is
Oh, recreation?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's what's included. Actually, a lot of that is Palmerston. Heather's Lions Club, and I guess it's like Thomason Recreation, PD and Old 81 and all that.
It's all in there.
recreation. Yeah. Oops, that's and of course the hydro bills. This time of year are major league at the arenas.
Thanks. All right. The recommendation is that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the Treasurer's report dated December 19th regarding approval of accounts and approves the Town of Minto accounts by department for December 2019. Councillor Elliott, thank you. Councillor Gunson, thank you. All in favor of that motion? Thank you. That's passed. I'll pass the. How is the snow budget for 2019? Were we right on?
Surprisingly good.
Yeah,
I hope
good.
we don't get any more. I don't know if it's perfect, but it's the best it's been in 2 years.
So we came in under,
I think we're close again.
but we have been
We might-
over
we
every
might have
year.
some more, but yeah, I think we have to budget it a couple of times. Like we usually enough, but if you remember, like the salt and sand, especially, is really expensive. Maybe the prices have stabilized a bit in that too. So far, so good.
We need to find that salt mine in Minto. Pass the chair back to our mayor.
Thank you. And we have one item, acting clerk appointment. Doing that, you doing that?
I am.
Yep. Okay.
So the appointment bylaw is something that we update regularly. The only changes that we made, of course, we've changed the different committee memberships. The change that you will see in the bylaw coming forward is we did not put all the names of community members of the advisory committees, and that can be changed through the actual group. So, for example, Economic Development and Planning Committee has 5 advisory committees that report to them. So then changes to those advisory committees can be made through economic development. But council member names still remain appointed through the bylaw. The recommendation is that the council receives the January 2nd, 2020 report from the acting clerk regarding updating the appointment bylaw and considers a bylaw in regular session.
Good. Questions? Yes.
I made the motion of that.
No. Yes.
No second.
Made by Councillor Elliott, second by Deputy Mayor Turton.
Question.
We do have a question.
You're just too fast. So what's the reason for making the change?
One of the reasons for making the change is we have to bring this bylaw back over and over again with all the different changes, with all the different advisory groups that we now have, especially with our downtown rising areas, like they have their main, but they have other ones. We don't want to have to try and change this bylaw.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Constantly.
So every time one changes, the whole thing has to come back.
It should be coming back and those changes being made. So that's the reason for that. I mean, so your main groups, you have your main committees on there, but your advisory groups can just go through the one above them.
Okay. We probably weren't keeping up on that anyway.
It wasn't, well, no, it wasn't always told. So, I mean,
no way we could, right?
Yeah, that's exactly, you can't
Okay.
keep up with that. So.
No, that makes sense. Okay, thanks.
All in favor? Okay. Yep. All right, other businesses is closed. Anybody got anything now?
I did come up with something.
Oh.
Come on.
Oh.
I think this one you'll all like.
Okay.
I'd like to wish Belinda a happy birthday.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Good one. Good
Happy
one.
birthday.
I know how old she is.
But I'm not going to say.
You don't want to say. Okay.
No, I won't say.
David, you
She's
had
just
one.
a kid. Yeah. So, fire and ice.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to commend the committee. It was amazing. Pam and I pulled into the parking lot and it was about half full. We were there for a half an hour because we had another engagement, and couldn't believe the cars. Couldn't believe the
Walking down
cars
streets.
on every street, and on the way out of the parking lot. So I don't know how we did, but I know that things were extremely well organized and people had smiles on their faces and had a great time.
Perfect weather.
Yes, thank you. It was a beautiful night, actually, for once. I think last year it would rain, and the year before it was freezing cold, where a lot of people canceled their events. So I think it's a donation event, so I think we had more donations, maybe comparable to the first year. Yeah. Much better than last year. And yeah, it was a full house on the rink, and thanks to Chief Harrow for manning the fire pits for us. And yeah, it was good. And all our volunteers, the Culture Roundtable, members of council that came out and helped us volunteer. It's a fun 2 hours on New Year's Eve. So
yeah,
thanks.
And I was totally amazed at how many people that we're getting from the area now that, like I'd go up at the fire pits and talk to people and they're from, Bellwood or they're Hort, that it's just something that they come to now. And
Yeah.
And I thought the fireworks was amazing as usual. I was a little worried, Chris, because some of the kids are moving forward. I think next year we got to make sure we have somebody out there to bring them back, because they kept, it didn't fall on me yet, so I'm going to go a little closer. So I was almost running out, but I didn't. I held back. But anyways, it was fun. Yeah, good job. Excellent. Okay, anything else? No? Okay. Moved by Councilor McKenzie, second by Deputy Mayor Turton. The Committee of the Whole convenes a regular council meeting. All in favor?
There's a motion?
Motion?
No?
This is yours?
This next two.
Next two?
I think.
Coming up short.
Oh, not this one, because you moved this one.
Go ahead.
Moved by Councilor Dirksen, second by Councilor Gunson. The Council of the Town of Minto ratifies the motion made in the Committee of the Whole. Okay.
Oh, I missed that one. Yeah.
Missed
sorry.
that one. Okay.
Okay.
Now you have to leave. Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor McKenzie. Bylaw number 2019-90 to provisionally adopt the road report prepared by Dietrich Engineering Limited, dated September 27, 2019, under Section 78 of the Drainage Act, Municipal Drain 232019, be introduced, read first, second, and third time in open council. Seal of the corporation. All in favor?
Read a third time only, it says, sorry.
What?
And read a third time.
I thought it said it read a third time.
And read a third time, just a third time. It's already been
Oh,
read first and second?
it already did the first and
Yeah.
second. Sorry, that's right. Drainage is always first and second, then they have to go back, and then we
That's
do the
right.
third. Okay. Moved by Councilor Gunson, second by Deputy Mayor Turton. The bylaw number 2019-103 provisionally adopt the report prepared by Dietrich Engineering Limited, dated September 27, 2019, under Section 4 and Section 78 of the Drainage Act, Municipal Drains 2019 and 117-2019, be reduced and read a third time and passed open council. Seal of the corporation. All in favor? Okay. Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Dirksen, that the bylaw number 2020-01 to provide an interim tax levy on all assessments within specific tax classes and provide a penalty and interest rate for taxes in default be introduced, read first, second, and third time and passed open council. Seal of the corporation. All in favor? Oh, I get a penalty. It's on those two.
Yeah.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councilor Gunson, that the bylaw number 2020-02 authorizing temporary borrowing monies to meet a current expenditures pending receipt of current revenues of the Corporation of Town of Minto be introduced and read first, second, and third time passed open council. Seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councilor McKenzie, second by Councilor Elliott, the bylaw number 2020-03 for the purpose of appointing municipal council members and citizens to the Town of Minto be introduced and read first, second, and third time passed open council. Seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councilor Dirksen, second by Councilor Gunson, the bylaw number 2020-04 being the bylaw to authorize the mayor and acting clerk to execute a tile drainage loan concession 8, part lot 11, Town of Minto be introduced, read first, second, and third time and passed open council. Seal of the corporation. All in favor? Oh, who's this moved by now? Oh, it is. So Councilor McKenzie, right? Moved by Councilor McKenzie, second by Deputy Mayor Turton, the bylaw number 2020-05 to exempt part lot control for lands being part lot 88 concession D, Middle Pines 1-4 61R21713 Minto, the former town of Harriston, Town of Minto be introduced, read first, second, and third time passed open council. Seal of the corporation. All in favor?
Why does that have Minto Pines in there?
It's not.
It's not. Shouldn't be Minto Pines.
It's not Minto Pines.
Did it say
It's,
it said Minto.
Parts.
Oh,
Parts
sorry,
1 to 4.
Parts.
Parts
Minto
1 to 4.
parts. I said Pines.
Oh, wow.
Thinking Pines, I said parts.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I was listening.
Good for you. I just did that on purpose to check.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Good
now-
idea.
Now you
Good
know
idea.
the
Every
answer.
now and again, Judy catches me on things. Moved by Councilor Gunson, second by Councilor Dirksen. The bylaw number 2020-06 to confirm the actions of the Council of the Corporation of Town of Minto, not Pines, respecting a meeting held January 7th, 2020, be introduced, read first, second, third time, passed open council. Seal of the corporation. All in favor? Didn't know why I read that. Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor McKenzie. The Council of the Town of Minto adjourns to meet again to call the mayor. All in favor? Thanks everybody for a good meeting. And I'm sorry.